This is the Talkin Bout The Hoosiers podcast, presented by thehoosier.com. Before we jump into this video, pause it right now and go subscribe to the Hoosier.com website, now a part of On3 Sports, for exclusive content covering the Indiana Hoosiers, including exclusive interviews, live recruiting updates, and much more. Make sure to join our community. We really appreciate it.
And Hoosier Nation, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here on our YouTube page. We got plenty of more content on here, including more talking about the Hoosiers podcast episodes, recruiting highlights, press conferences, and much, much more. It literally takes 2 seconds. Just do it right now, get it over with, and then go on and let's enjoy this new episode.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talkin Bout The Hoosiers podcast. Another breaking news episode. We didn't even think we were going to be recording 10 minutes ago, but Indiana basketball has landed another commitment in the class 2025. Aleksa Ristic has committed to the program. I'm joined by Kyle Staley, Zach Browning from the Hoosier.com website. Kyle, I'm just going to throw it right to you, basketball recruiting analyst. What kind of initial takeaways from the late commitment?
Yeah, very surprising. I'd be lying if I said anybody knew anything about this other than probably the IU staff. It looks like to me DeVries got himself another shooter and got a really, really good floor IQ guy. I think just based off the film that we're watching. Now, obviously, I haven't watched a ton of film on him, so a lot of the stuff is in real time as I'm watching film literally as we're recording this right now. But I really like the way that he plays off ball screens. He looks like a guy that can play on and off the ball pretty well. 6'4", really good size on the perimeter. He looks like he has the skill and the strength in his frame to be able to play right away. Now, obviously, he goes into a pretty crowded perimeter guard kind of rotation right now. But it's another pickup for DeVries, a very surprising one, but a guy that just kind of makes sense in what DeVries wants, shooters and guys that can space the floor.
Yeah, guys, this is surprising to say the least. We weren't expecting another commitment, especially an international commit like this. And I think the biggest thing that jumps out of the page when you turn on the highlights of Ristic is just the shooting ability. I think that's kind of what he's known for as a prospect. Obviously, he handled the ball a little bit with his pro club over there in Serbia and with the national team as well. He can handle the ball. I think he's probably over there, he's played a little bit more on ball than he likely will here at IU in the United States. But shooting. And it's not just stand still, catch and shoot type of threes from what I've seen so far in his highlight tape. He's got a good off the bounce kind of game. He can create enough space to get off that jumper. At least he could over there in Serbia against some of those professional guys. So shooting is what I'm looking at for Ristic here.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. He's a really good shooter, shot 38.6% from three in the Serbian league, averaged 13.6 points, 3.2 rebounds, 4.2 assists, very dynamic VP. Just, kind of someone who can do it all and someone you can slot in at the point guard role, at the shooting guard role. It's, this roster screams versatility. It's been kind of a point of emphasis for Darren DeVries, and this is another versatile guard who can play multiple positions. But when I watch him, I kind of notice the way he uses his body. You see it with a lot of European guards, and they don't get rushed. He's 6'4", so he's pretty big for his position, where he is able to, use his shoulder to protect the basketball. He might not be the quickest guy, but he uses that shoulder to create space, which is really effective, especially at the next level. But at college, it's something, you see guys get to the mid-range, being able to do that, and having someone like that who can create space to get to their shot when he's such a good shooter is a huge addition.
Yeah, he's got a pro style game, right? The game is slowed down for him. Now, obviously, when you come over to the United States, play the college basketball game, depending on what conference he's going to be playing in the Big Ten, they might be a little sped up for him at times and stuff. So I expect him to be part of the rotation just because he looks like he can compete right away, just based off the stats we've seen. He's been playing in a pro league, one of the top Serbian pro leagues there are. So he's got that experience. He'll come in, very smart player. What is he, only 19 years old? I think that's what it was. So still a young guy and everything. But like I said, the game kind of slows down for him when you're watching it, and he doesn't get rushed. And you made a really good point, Drew. He doesn't get rushed. He lets the game kind of come to him. And he's just really good, as an assist man too. I think that's something that we need to touch on too. It looks like that he can facilitate, he can drive, he can get length, he can make plays. It doesn't look like he turns the ball over at all, hardly at all when you look at his stats. So I think it's a really, really good addition to what DeVries is going to do, but it's definitely one that just kind of came out of nowhere, but one that just kind of makes sense when you look at everything that he can do on the basketball floor.
I think it's also important to note he is 19. He'll come in. He's expected to join the team this upcoming season for the 2025-26 season, but he'll still have 4 years of eligibility left. I don't think this will be a Kasparis Yakachonis type of ordeal where he's a one-and-done first-round pick or anything like that. I think he'll probably be a multi-year college type of guy, but I think you guys are hitting him on the head. Not only the shooting, but the ability to kind of run an offense, because I think that's what he's really done in Serbia. He hasn't just been a guy they stash over in the corner and he shoots 40% from three night in and night out. He's a guy that's been tasked with actually running their offense over there in Serbia. So I think that's also important. Now, how he kind of handles the physicality of the Big Ten, Kyler, you touched on it, the speed of the Big Ten. It'll be interesting to see. And Indiana's guard rotation is deep, to say the least. You got a lot of guys in there, Tatum Connery, Connor Enright, Jason Drake. There's a lot of guys that you would classify as point guards, guys that can play on or off the ball at that 1 or 2 spots. So it would be interesting to see kind of how the rotation works out. I think one big thing to watch for Ristic is, can he defend well enough to stay on the floor? 6'4", we've talked about he's got a good frame. He's got good length, good width, good wingspan. He's quick. He's got the lateral speed that he needs to have. So can he stay in front of those Big Ten caliber guards? Can he stay in front of guys? Can he defend? If he can defend at the Big Ten level, then I think for sure he'll find his way in the rotation at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it. You have Tatum Conaway, Connor Enright, Jason Drake, all the guys at the point guard position. But Conaway and Enright, both seniors in their last year of eligibility. So it's, 4 years of eligibility. He's a guy that will likely be the point guard, starting point guard for Indiana in the coming years. And it's someone, maybe next year he's not the most impactful player as he's adjusting to the Big Ten play, but he's someone you see how he can lead the offense in the way Darren DeVries wants to play. It's someone who fits that game. He can pass the ball, he can shoot the ball, he can do a lot of different things, and it's someone it's easy to build around and complement his play style because he's such a fluid player.
Yeah, exactly. I do kind of want to touch on the roster just for a little bit too. So obviously with him being committed, that probably likely means that one of Luke Goody or Anthony Leal is not coming back. That's up to 12 scholarship players, and I think the expectation was DeVries wanted to keep around 13 guys with that. So that's an interesting development. If I had to guess, it's probably meaning I would guess Anthony Leal probably is not the guy. Obviously, Luke Goody's still got a little bit more of a case with it and stuff, but you don't know. Obviously, DeVries could add 14 guys if both Leal and Goody do get their waivers announced, but it's definitely an interesting roster development, especially adding a guy. It'd be a little bit different if they were adding a big guy, a guy that doesn't really work in kind of the same area that Anthony Leal Goody does, but when you have a guy like Ristic being in it, kind of shows that maybe Luke Goody, Anthony Leal, one of those two at least are not coming back to Indiana.
And you think about it too, I know we've kind of touched on it. He played in Serbia's top league, and kind of we know, around basketball, those European professional leagues, those are no joke. I mean, obviously you can't compare them directly to the college level, but those are no joke. You've seen guys in the past, young 17, 18, 19-year-olds have success in those type of top European leagues, whatever country it is, and come over to the U.S. and have success, whether it's at the college level, whether it's at the NBA level, whatever level it's at. There are skills that can translate there. I mean, you're playing professional basketball. Those are grown men he's going up against night in and night out over there in Serbia. So you do think that probably translates well to being able to play against the other physical kind of play in the Big Ten at the Big Ten level.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right in the head there. It's, the European leagues, it's a lot more physical. It's a slower brand of basketball than, we see over here in the States. And I think that translates perfectly to the Big Ten, which is typically a more physical league, a lot of interior, post play throughout the past few years. So for a guy like Ristic, it's not going to be, this big adjustment that we've seen other guys make when they come over to the States. I think he will be able to adjust. He's younger. I think, this year it's going to be a little tough because, there's a lot of guys in the point guard spot. Tatum Conaway is obviously going to be the guy. He comes in as an experienced player, Sunbelt Player of the Year. So kind of finding his role behind them, but moving forward, he's someone that Indiana can build around with him and Trent Sicily having 4 years of eligibility.
Yeah, I like the way that the roster's made up. Obviously, this year you had to replace every single person, and you're trying to build a win now team, to have success in the coming year and stuff. But the Breeze has got guys like you mentioned, Trent Cecily, now Ristic, Josiah Miles is another guy that they can kind of build around next year. And I think Indiana is going to do a really good job, getting the 2026 class put together, and then eventually the 2027 class put together. It looks like DeVries' kind of vision of how he wants the program to kind of play out roster wise is kind of coming squared away. So he's going to have guys that he wants to develop. This guy, Ristic, makes a perfect example of a guy that he can develop over the next few years, possibly be a starting guard for Indiana in the coming years, maybe even starting, year 2 of him. So it's this is definitely one of the more out of nowhere commitments here, but definitely an interesting one-on-one guy. That's he looks like he's really good. Doesn't even look like he took very many visits. I think Oregon and Georgia Tech State, one of those two, or a couple of reported visits, but obviously hasn't even made a visit to Indiana yet. So very, very interesting development here. So we'll just kind of see how it kind of plays out. Really curious to see what happens with the Goody Leal situation too in the next coming weeks.
And Kyler, you talk about the Goody Leal situation. I mean, there is a world out there where they both don't get the waiver, where Leal and Goody both don't get the waiver, and then maybe Indiana's looking at filling that 13th spot. Again, the expectation that Indiana will carry 13 guys in the roster this year. There's a world out there where neither Leal nor Goody get that extra year. Then it's maybe another center, maybe one of those 7-foot rim protecting guys that a lot of Indiana fans at least have been clamoring for on social media and stuff. So not that it does probably mean that both Leal and Goody aren't probably going to come in, aren't going to get that extra waiver. And who knows if one of them does and if Indiana does bring them back. But there is a world out there where I think that Indiana goes away from both Leal or Goody, assuming they both don't get waivers, and it's maybe a center, maybe some more depth at forward, a bigger, taller, longer guy that maybe gets that 13th spot on the roster.
Let me ask this. The guy that's from Italy, I think, that's visiting this week, I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Is he a 2026 guy? Do we know that?
Let me look that real quick. He's 2026, I believe.
Okay.
I'll double check.
Wonder if there also could be a world where you see this with a lot of the international guys where they reclassify. There could be a world where maybe Indiana does land him. I think he just literally had a Purdue visit today, and I think he's on his way down to Bloomington tomorrow. So there could be a world where he does reclassify, and there's your big guy. There's your other big guy that kind of you can kind of have and develop. So it's a loaded roster. I think it's a really, really good roster. This guy's going to be on campus probably soon. So June workouts, I think we kind of forgot June workouts are happening right now. Yeah. So he will probably be on campus sooner than later. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how it plays out and stuff. But I think that's all I got.
I'll jump in real quick and just say Luigi Swigo is 2026, but could reclass, obviously, as you mentioned. And I know he was down at Purdue. IU's visit for him, I think IU's his 3rd visit. And so I think IU's got him coming down this week, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, we're going to see how this plays out.
I mean, yeah, with the changes in, I guess, the transfer portal now and the way the timeline is with college sports, it's these later commitments just aren't as weird and uncommon as they once were. And, Indiana, there's still one more spot in the roster. It's Goody, Leal. Could they get that waiver? But also, Kyle, you mentioned, could they bring someone else in from Europe to fill that maybe another 7-footer? But if that does happen, we'll have you covered on the Hoosier.com website and the Hoosier on 3 on X Twitter. So make sure you guys are checking that out. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the Hoosier on 3 on YouTube and on Spotify. And subscribe to the Hoosier.com website for premium content, including exclusive interviews, scouting reports, and access to the Hoosier Hangout, where there's a bunch of inside recruiting stuff that you wouldn't get for free. So make sure you're doing that. Thank you guys for tuning in to Talking About the Hoosiers podcast. We'll be back.